Okay, with the current crisis going on, and as general background, this is an insert for the first section on computer science. You need to be aware of the problems of using computers in the outbreak of the current virus, and also working from home, what things can happen. So a couple of questions have been posted on this. How long does it take for your computer to be left between uses by people, so for yourself and other people? You'll probably find most computers are used and picked up a couple of times a day by possibly one person, maybe two or three. Now, when you consider what the computer is made from, that has impacts for COVID and uses of computers. Have a think about these two questions, or the second question, what's a computer made of that you would touch and generally be around? What you'll probably find is nearly all computers are made from materials like metal, glass, plastics. So back in May, the Lancet published some articles to do with how long the COVID virus can live on various surfaces. This isn't true for all viruses. Different viruses react in slightly different ways, but it's worth considering this is a good guideline in future. So, key things that they highlighted were basic materials, things like paper, wood, cloth. They're generally under a day. Paper, about 30 minutes. When it comes to teachers marking work on paper and things, you'll probably find that we're still considering it up about a day. The paper results people are a little bit dubious about, so we're playing it safe. But the actual articles that they discovered was 30 minutes. Wood and cloth, this is just normal clothing cloth, not masks. It can survive about a day. And these are the ones that probably surprise people. Materials like glass, 2 days. Steel, 4 days. Plastic, 4 days. They're the materials your computer's made from. So we need to be careful about using computers. Now, you can clean computers, but the mechanisms of cleaning them involve using very strong alcohol to kill viruses and do them quickly. And things like keyboards are always nasty to try and clean anyway. So we need to be aware of this is the issue, and the question is, what can we do to resolve it? Well, to stop, if you have any viruses yourself, you can use soap and water. Soap and water will actually break down the virus. Washing your hands with soap and water actually destroys the fat. So, wash your hands before computer use. When using your computer, avoid touching mucous membranes. This is more about protecting yourself than anybody else. So, avoid your nose, touching your eyes, touching your mouth. These are easy ways for people to actually get diseases into themselves. A couple of others to consider. Watch out for your ears. There are membranes in your ears that would allow viruses to get into. Yes, you've got to try and get your finger down there, but do try and avoid putting your fingers around and in your ears. And when you come to wash, all these areas should be washed as well. When we've finished using our computers, again, wash our hands thoroughly. Now, washing your hands thoroughly includes things like washing all the tops and backs, all the finger, the gaps in between the fingers, including the webbing between fingers. That's what they're showing in this bit here. So fronts and backs, the webbing between your fingers, both hands. Washing each individual finger carefully. This section is actually a way to really try and get the soap under your fingernails if you haven't got a scrubbing brush. So you can actually scrub wash your fingers and get under your fingernails. You rinse off thoroughly. Try to get as much of the soap and anything else off your hands as you can. So a good wash. This washing process to here, we're looking at about 20 seconds of washing your hands, 20 to 30 seconds. And then make sure you dry off your hands thoroughly. Quite a lot of articles I've read have encouraged you to use paper towels, disposable paper towels as much as possible to destroy that, because they can be destroyed easily. They're generally clean. Hand air dryers, they're not as clean as people often make out, because in the environment they're in, they can actually cycle bacteria more than viruses. But if you can, use paper towels. That's the stuff to do with coronavirus. So before you start work, wash your hands. Make sure you don't touch your nose, your mucous membranes. I forgot to mention one on this. This process probably applies to going to the toilet as well, because other places where you've got mucous membranes are everything to do with the areas of your body involved in going to the toilet. So I would wash your hands before you do and after thoroughly. Make sure you have got rid of any viruses that are on your hands before you touch any mucous membrane. Okay, here's a question for you. Which of these seating positions is most like what you are, or do you do something else? I'm going to ask you, okay, so I'm hoping most of you say you sit mostly like B. What you might find some people doing is, particularly if their keyboards are resting quite a long way from the back of the front of the table, they may find the keyboard, if it's a long way back here, people tend to hunch forward. And hunching forward gives you this sort of back position that you can see in A and C, which are quite bad. So hunching forward tends to also bring your feet back here. And there are a number of issues to deal with that it can cause circulation problems. A good seating posture. So let's go through the features of a good seating posture. First one, person B is about the best seating posture you've got. They're seated upright with their head, shoulders, bum, and the supporting part of the chair all in a line. So the back of this chair, and most chairs, you will find the seat is supported, and the best supporting place is a little bit towards the back of the seat. They should form a pretty good line to make sure the weight is passing straight from the top of your head, through your bum, and down to the floor. We don't want weight onto our legs, especially with the position they need to be in. I know some people use bouncy balls and standing tables. Yes, they're okay for the back, but not all day. They are okay for relatively short periods of time. If you're going to be working at a computer all day, you want to sit, head, shoulders, back, straight through to the weight. Your thighs on the seat are almost parallel with the floor. This actually helps get the pelvis in the right position at the back, and also gives you good support and stability forward and backwards. Your lower leg should be almost vertical to the floor, and your foot should be flat on the floor. This part is to help with your circulation. If you're pushing forward like this or pulling your feet up, there are little blood vessels that help pump back to the heart with the blood from the floor. You may find that your feet, as you push down with your feet, they actually help push the blood through. The last one that people aren't so aware of is the head position. You've got your eyes almost on level with the top of the screen. And that's because your eyes naturally actually point slightly down from this straight up head position, and your main focus then is in the middle without you having to tilt your head or look up or down too far. Okay. So here's our quick summary to go through on the COVID. COVID-19, make sure you try and wipe down mouse, keyboards, touch screens, anything that you touch with your hands. Always wash your hands before and after using the computer, using soap and water. Be careful about your seating position. You've got to have a good posture with your head position, feet well positioned, eyes in level with the top of the screen where possible, and giving you a nice view. You should use a good chair to support you. Most good chairs have rollies on the wheels on the bottom. The wheels are there so you can move the chair easily without sitting in it. You shouldn't be moving around on the chair. You get up, you move the chair, you sit back down. To break up long seating periods, if you don't need to be at the computer for some time, take the opportunity to get up, move about, get a little bit of mild exercise if you can. And moving back up to the tired eyes, you need to take breaks. Go and look in the distance to relieve eye strain. Try to balance the brightness of the screen and the room. If you've got a bright screen in a dark room, your eye is working quite hard to balance the two, and you'll find yourself get fatigued. The same goes for actually if you're trying to look at something dark in a light room. It becomes harder for you to read. So if you're looking at a bright screen and it's dark around, turn your lights on. If you're looking at a dark screen and it's very bright, try and turn the brightness up if you can. If not, try and get into some shade to reduce the brightness. Okay, so that's the COVID key thing. Unfortunately, having to do this as part of this, it does take a bit out of the lesson. Okay, so I'm going to try and give you some shorter times in other videos for the lesson.